Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Diane, and let's spend some time together. So today I wanted to talk about birth control and the fact that I had been on birth control for like 12 years, 14 years. It was such a long time that I was on birth control, pretty much from 14 years old until 27. I did mention it briefly last year on my channel, and I wanted to give you guys a little update in my experience in the last year that I've been on it. So I stopped taking birth control in December of 2022. It's now January 2024. It's been over a year since I stopped, and I've been through it. If you are as well thinking about getting off of birth control, or you've been on it for a really long time, keep in mind that I was gonna say I'm not a medical professional, but technically I am, but I am not a physician, or I am not in any place to be giving that sort of medical advice. So please obviously speak with your physician and your OBGYN. Speak to somebody that is qualified to talk to you about these things before you make any decisions. This was a decision that I made with my general practitioner as well as my OBGYN. Initially, I got put on birth control because I had ovarian cysts, and I had a lot of pain that came with those ovarian cysts. I had a laparoscopy done when I was 15 years old to remove a really large cyst off of my, I gotta look at my scars now, off of my left ovary. I couldn't even remember, but yeah, so that was 15. I had already been on the birth control because I had that one really large cyst on my left ovary, and they had also found another smaller cyst on my right ovary, and it caused me a lot of pain. It was so large on the left side to the point where they were concerned about ovarian torsion. So that is why I had a laparoscopy to remove it. And also I was just not down to feel like what it would feel like if a cyst burst. Like I was just, you know what, not in the mood for that. No, thank you. And then I stayed on the oral birth control pills up until I was, like I said, 27, which was just a year ago. Because I was on the pill for literally like 12, 13 years of my life, I never really understood what it was like to have a regular, normal, natural cycle. So obviously, because I was on birth control, I did have a normal bleeding period, which I've learned is not an actual period when you're on birth control, which was mind-blowing to me. But I'm going to talk about two resources that you can look into if this is something that you're interested in. This is the first book that I'm recommending, called Beyond the Pill, and then there's another one here called In the Flow. And these are two resources that I found through watching YouTube videos last year that I found really helpful. So I am recommending them to you guys as well if this is something that you're interested in. I was put on the birth control pill to stop the heavy pain that I would experience during my menstruation. I was diagnosed with what was called dysmenorrhea, which I think is just really, really, really painful menstruation. The birth control, I think, did help with that, but I don't know, it was so long ago that I don't really remember all that much, to be honest, but it was to the point where it was so painful. My parents were taking me to the ER constantly because I would like black out and be hunched over in so much pain and crying pretty much the entire night. Where am I at now? So I feel like my main concerns about stopping birth control was what it was going to do to my body. Like I said, I had been on it since I was 14, so I didn't really know what to expect in terms of, am I even regular? Like, can I have a real regular period? Am I going to be in a world of pain, basically, again, every single time I menstruate? Am I going to break out? As vain as that may seem, that was one of the big things that I was worried about, because I was literally in my late 20s. I am a grown adult, and did I want to deal with adult cystic acne when I have never dealt with that before in my life? Like, that was a real and very valid concern. And also, before I started on birth control, right around the time I was in puberty, around 11, 12 years old, I broke out so bad, cystic acne, painful to the touch, like really just like pizza looking skin all over my back. It was oily, hard, large, cystic pimples everywhere for a really long time. I don't ever remember that going away until I did go to my GP about it, and she prescribed some type of medication. It wasn't Accutane. I can't really remember the name of it, but it was supposed to stop oil production. And that did help for a little bit, but I did notice that it completely stopped when I took birth control. So that was another valid concern that I had, that I was really scared that my acne on my face and my back and like my body in general was really gonna flare up. I had a multitude of different concerns, and I would say like the main one that kind of kept me up at night sometimes was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to have a regular period? Because having a regular period means that you are fertile. And I have some family history of reproductive issues. Enough of the backstory. This is like the symptoms and everything that I went through. At the beginning, yes, I definitely did break out. My face was kind of a wreck for a little bit in comparison to what I'm usually used to. So I would say throughout my childhood, throughout my prepubescent and my pubescent areas of life, I never really dealt with severe acne. Obviously, I would have acne here and there. Obviously, I would break out, but I think I was getting it a lot more than I was usually used to. I remember getting acne like here in this area, which I never really did, like obviously here, and then a little bit on my back. So none of the cystic acne things that I was really scared of happened in that last year. I don't know, I'm assuming that my body is like regulated and all my hormones are a little happier now that it's been like a year, but it's always going to be a journey, I think. One of the things that I was the happiest about was that I got my first period when I was supposed to. So I think, hang on, I have an app that I highly recommend. I am not sponsored by this app. I did purchase the premium version of this app pretty much right from the get-go, but you do not have to do that. You can use this app free, and a lot of my girlfriends do. The app is called Flow, and this is what it looks like. I stopped taking my pill, if I remember correctly, was on Boxing Day of 2022. So that would have been December 26th is when I stopped my pill. My next period following was January 15th to January 19th. Almost like clockwork, I got my period when I expected to, and I was so shocked because of all the research and stuff that I did. I was thinking that I would probably skip a few months because I kept hearing that a lot of those who cut off birth control didn't get a regular period for a long time, like 2 to 3 months. And also my GP said that it is normal sometimes for your body to go through a withdrawal and figure out the hormones and everything like that. But my first period came within a month, and I have been regular ever since. I haven't missed a single period. So I am very blessed and very happy in that sense. So like I said, I use Flow to track, and I've really been liking it. I think that I understand more about my body now than I ever have in the last 60 years of my life. I understand so much about myself, which leads me to the next, I feel like there's so much, I didn't realize that your yitties hurt. The girls, I didn't realize that they hurt during the luteal phase and through my period. So when my first period came and my breasts were so tender to the point where touching them would make me want to weep tears, I was so shocked. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting them to grow even. And I'll use that word lightly because I am part of the itty bitty titty committee, and I always have, and I always probably will be, but that's fine. But they grew a little bit, they're handfuls now as opposed to little mosquito bites. And honestly, it's a blessing because I was kind of scared that they would go down. I think that was another thing that a lot of people said that they have gone through, is that they lose their boobs. I did not. I gained a little bit. So yeah, I did not know that stuff hurts, but I mean, the Flow app tells you why it happens and your hormones and stuff like that. So that was crazy. And I also didn't realize that ovulation hurts. For some reason, it never clicked to me until one day my side was hurting, and then I said it to my girlfriend, and she's like, "Oh girl, are you ovulating? That happens to me too." So I checked my app, and sure enough, it was the day that I was supposed to ovulate, and I'm like, oh, what? Oh, this is going all over the place. I'm so sorry that this is not kind of in order. But one of the other first things that I noticed pretty much getting off of the pill is I had insomnia for 2 weeks. I never heard anybody talk about this, so I don't know if it's related to the pill or anything, but I made sure I didn't change anything. Nothing changed in my regular routine other than getting off of birth control. I wasn't like in front of a screen before bed. I wasn't like doing any crazy activities before bed that would keep me up. I had insomnia for 2 weeks straight. Not even melatonin could help me. Like, it was bad. And then all of a sudden after the 2 weeks, everything went back to normal. I have no idea why that happened. My GP has no idea why that happened. So yeah, take that for what it is. I literally just had to struggle for 2 weeks and there was nothing fixing it. The melatonin was not helping me. A little like self-care routine and a little winding down for like an hour or two before bed was not helping me. Back rubs, not helping me. Like, it just, girl, I was up and I could not sleep and I was so miserable. Another big thing that I think is so important is that when I was on the pill, I was put on a specific type of pill. I believe it was called Ovema. It was the 28-day cycle one where I take a pill every day and then I bleed on the sugar pills. But because my periods were getting so bad, like, I was in so much pain that my GP switched me from the 28-day cycle thing to doing a 3-month cycle. I went from having a period every month to having a period every 3 months. And she was like, yeah, it might not help your pain, but it might help the fact that it's like you only have to do it 4 times a year as opposed to 12 months of the year. So it did help, but girl, it gave me depression. When I tell you I was numb to the world, I had no feelings. I did not know what happiness felt like anymore. I feel like it wasn't that I was necessarily like sad or that I wanted to off myself or anything. It wasn't like that. It just literally, I felt like a void that I could not feel any feelings. I couldn't feel happiness. I feel like I was indifferent, apathetic to everything. I felt like there was just a fog on me the entire time. I gained 10 pounds and I was just like, so that was like for a year that I was on that. I told her after 6 months of being on it, I was like, girl, I don't think this is it for me. And she's like, just try it for a little longer. It's fine. Girl, no. Because the minute that I stopped that, I'm like happy crying, sad crying over the littlest things. I feel my feelings so big, or I felt it. Like, now I regulated a little bit, but I felt everything so big. I was out of the fog. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like I felt like I had brain fog for a year, and the minute that I stopped it, it was like a veil lifted over my eyes. Like, I cannot explain it. I just felt a million times better. Like, my mental health skyrocketed after getting off of birth control. I will say I never felt like that with my previous pill, but this one that they put me on really messed me up. So now I don't cry at every single little puppy doing a cute thing, but I do cry a lot easier than I have in the past. I feel like mentally I am in such a better state of mind. Like I said, I am very regular, but I haven't noticed that the period pains are any more or less painful, which is surprising because I thought that the reason I was put on birth control in the first place was to control how painful my periods were to begin with, which maybe that was the case when I first started when I was young, but at this point in time it's not as painful as I remember it to be, to the point where I'm keeled over and feeling like passing out and I gotta go to emerge immediately. Like, I definitely don't feel like that anymore. My periods are still painful, but they're not unbearable. And I would say that my flow, TMI, I'm sorry, is like pretty regular. And I think the last thing that I really have to touch on is, again, probably TMI, but I think it does need to be talked about, is about libido. So when I was on my pill, it was non-existent, baby. It was zero. Don't touch me, okay? Don't touch me. But then when I got off the pill, it like, again, skyrocketed. And what I also learned is that when you're in your follicular phase and when you're ovulating, you really want to make a damn baby, which we will not be doing right now, but like pretty soon. Yeah, the libido is much better. I would say it's kind of like a roller coaster. It kind of follows waves where in my follicular phase and my ovulation period, my libido is a lot higher, and then in my luteal phase, or when I'm gearing up for my period, I am less likely to feel that type of way, but it's not like zero, like when I had zero libido. And then also, just off the top of my head, I mentioned weight gain from the pill. That weight pretty much just melted off as soon as I got off of my birth control, and it's been a lot easier to maintain and to lose that weight as I'm eating, drinking a lot of water, and then going to the gym. I think for now that is everything that I have to mention. Obviously, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below or send me a DM on Instagram. Maybe I'll make another video talking about any other questions or concerns. Anyway, yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you learned something. So the three things that I recommend, the three things that I recommend is the Flow app. Again, non-sponsored. I pay for the premium version myself and I really like it. I use it every single day. And then these two books if you are looking for something to read up on if you find that your video research is lacking. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!